Hey, it's Daniel. So I am in Alaska once again. I'm in Anchorage, Alaska for the Dave Stieren show. Hope I'm saying that right. Sorry, Dave. So Dave Stieren show. And what are the exact call signs for that? Well, you might ask me that. And I would have to think about it because I'm going to actually. So it is Dave Stieren, Newstalk 750, 103.7 KFQD. So it's at kfqd.com. So I'm going to be on the radio show to talk about the Yang Gang here in just a moment. So exciting stuff. Stay with me. I'll have my whole everything from Alaska that I did here in a little video, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
39 minutes past the hour. Welcome to the Dave Stieren Show here on FM News 1037 KFQD. Very excited while I shouted at Bernie Sanders at a hotel in Las Vegas asking him if he was going to come to Alaska. Oh, I'd love to come to Alaska. I haven't had anybody from the Bernie Bros here in studio, but joining me is Dan Ayerzon.
Ayerzon, yes.
Ayerzon, who is a member of the Yang Gang, Andrew Yang's campaign team, and I guess you're the guy in Alaska for Mr. Yang. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I am actually independent, so I'm not officially with the team. I gotta say that first of all. But I am part of the Yang Gang and the volunteer network of the Yang team.
I think that's an even better way to run it. So. Of course, the question that many people have, aside from some amusing tweets, and I follow Andrew on Twitter, who the hell is this guy? And what makes his campaign worthy of you burning your productive time of the day to work for him on a volunteer basis and come on this show?
So I've been telling people since I found him in March that he's going to come out of nowhere and crush everyone, is how I felt about it. But yes, I mean, once you start watching his presentation, start watching videos of him, you get sucked in. And really the reason he is just on fire is because really feels like he has solutions that will heal America that nobody else is even thinking about or presenting. And some of them are so obvious, like have Amazon pay taxes, that it's like a no-brainer. Like, why didn't somebody think of that type of stuff?
To your point, according to a Fox poll, he's at 3%. Other polls have him at 4%. There's a poll in Colorado that has him at 4%. And people saying 4%, 3%. Well, I mean, what does that compare to Biden? Keep in mind that Donald Trump in 2015 at about this time was somewhere between 1 or 2%. So Yang is outpolling, I guess, proportionally, Donald Trump to the tune of 200% in regards to this time in history back in 2015.
Well, he's outpolling sitting senators and governors and all the other guys who were trying to run. Their campaigns are coming to an end where he's just gaining momentum. So that's what we're counting on for sure.
What is it about him from policy standpoints that Alaskans should give him a first glance, maybe a second or third glance, that they probably, because of budget and infrastructure, he isn't able to convey by the usual methods of paid media, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, first of all, he understands business. So I don't think a lot of these politicians really understand business. And he comes from a place that's not just about business, but he knows how to run a nonprofit because he's in the nonprofit world for a long time. But the nonprofit world that worked with other businesses to grow entrepreneurship throughout the country. So he said many times you can't run government like a business. You have to run government more like a nonprofit where you create a vision and you get people excited about where you're going. So that's one of the things just about him. The second thing is the main platform that he's running on. You'll hear any of his speeches, and that's the freedom dividend, universal basic income. I thought it was an idea that's way out there in the future, maybe someday, but he really brings it down to the nuts and bolts that it can happen now. And it's a move that we do need to make for our economy to be well and to move into the future.
How does that work? One of the arguments and I don't know about basic income, but one of the arguments that we can overlay with that idea over the permanent fund dividend, I don't know if you've been sleeping through months, if not years, of how important the dividend is to Alaskans. And ICER has done a study. You could say the state of Alaska has the perfect petri dish to test that basic income. And what they found is job growth, purchasing power, expansion of business are a microsecond in the business calendar year. Christmas, far more impactful, and there is not any artificial injection of capital in the marketplace. Christmas is, you're hiring temporary employees for 60, 90, 120 days, giving someone a basic income. If you were to look at the state of Alaska and $2,000 dividend and break that out over 2 months or 3 months, depending on what the numbers that Yang would propose is, it doesn't create a lot of jobs. It may make people go to a restaurant they may not normally go to, or may help them make a car payment. But in regards to long-term economic stability, the dividends effect is negligible. How is Yang's plan different?
Well, I believe because the resources are monthly, it would make a big impact. Because you're right. I've talked to one of the reasons I came to Alaska was to talk to people about your permanent fund compared to what Yang wants to do. And a lot of people did say, and when you interview other parts of the country, a lot of people say, $1,000 a year, that's nothing. Buy some Christmas presents.
Right.
But also when you interview people, say, $1,000 a month, a lot of people will say, well, I spend more than that on groceries, so it's not going to be a big deal. But if it's consistent, you can plan ahead for it, and you can build. I believe you can start at a point to build businesses and build the economy and things like that.
Some European countries have had a basic income or something similar, and they have moved away from it. They found it to be economically unsustainable. They've also found that it didn't generate the sort of income stability that they had projected it to be. What is different between Mr. Yang's plan and systems? Because everybody wants to give money to somebody, cites a European model. Well, sure, you're citing the European model from the late 50s to the early 70s, maybe as late as 82 or 83. And those countries have by and large moved away from universal income. Both quasi-socialist and communist, they found that it's better to have people work for their money. They can earn more, and it's less of a strain on budgets. What makes the Yang plan different from that, and how do you pay for that?
So I don't believe those studies were over the same kind of long-term period that Yang is planning, but let's get into how he's going to pay for it, because I think that probably is the difference, because there's a couple of things. So first of all, we know the Social Security system, it incentivizes people not to go over a certain amount of money.
Yes.
Because, you fall out. So just giving the people the money, they don't have to worry about that. Many people are going to be like, that's a better program. I don't want to have to worry about it. And there's less bureaucracy about it. Mm-hmm. And so those are all benefits. Also, growing the economy, it is pro-work, because most people aren't going to live off $1,000 a month. So they're going to want to go to work and use that money as a base to get better employment. But you have more agency of what you want to do now, because you have that buffer. So if you want to start your own business, you're going to know that at least you're not going to be sleeping on the streets. You have something to work with. Where, right now, many people are afraid to start a small business because, for various reasons, but they don't have the base to rely on. So he wants to do the value-added tax. So all the other countries, European countries...
VAT tax, sales tax, basically, federal sales tax.
Yeah, it works a little bit different, but it's transactional tax. So corporations can't get out of it anymore, because anytime there's a transaction, they have to buy a little piece of it. But now that they're saying that our data has more value than oil now, and companies are making, Amazon, Google, all of these companies are making tons of money off our data already. It's more valuable than oil. We can use that VAT tax because we get a little piece of it now. The people can use that VAT tax to bring down the cost as well, but also just growing the economy is going to pay for it. And
what do you, let's step away here for
Sure.
just a second, because I'm curious, when you say grow the economy, what barriers does Mr. Yang see to economic growth? Some Democrats are saying, generating of fossil fuels, mining, domestic resource development is not a track that they support. And yet when you talk about we need a green economy, we need a green energy grid, and I ask them, well, how do you get there without mining? People are perfectly willing to mine in sub-Saharan Africa in third world conditions and completely throw away any sort of social responsibility. How does Andrew Yang plan on growing the economy, and what does the economy look like under him? As we continue our conversation here on the Dave Stieren Show. Sounded good.
yeah, I'll answer that question when we get back.
How, so you came up here, where were you from previously?
So I'm from Arizona, Tucson, Arizona, but I fly out of Dallas a lot because my mom lives in Dallas, and I go visit her between
I was just
trips.
there. My brother-in-law was one of Dallas's dentists of the year, so
All right.
I drank his bourbon and hung out in his pool.
Cool. That's good for your teeth.
Yeah, we went down to Austin for a few days, floated one of the rivers, and rented a pontoon boat on, I forget what that lake is, just outside of Austin, but it was hot, but it was beautiful.
Yeah. Well, last time I was here in July, I thought that was your normal weather. It was 80 degrees, and I was like, wow, it is sunny
Who were you
here.
on with? Was I gone? I was gone. You were on with...
I talked to Tobin. I sent an email, but I didn't connect.
Okay.
So
Okay.
and then I had to leave, and then it took a few weeks to get it all worked out.
Oh, no worries. No worries. I'm glad you're able to come in today. So, how big of a group would you say you have here that you're working with in the state?
So in this state, I have nobody. I'm hoping to find some people.
Yeah.
I went to the DNC, and they told me lots of people were coming up to them interested, but I don't know where they're registering. They need to register on the website. We need to get a group, because I think Andrew Yang will want to come here if we can get some kind of a rally
Sure.
together.
Sure. And so Alaskans are horrific at RSVPing.
Okay.
Just even when I have a freaking dinner party, are you coming?
Right.
Well, we'll see. It's 2 days from now.
Right.
I'll let you know. I only have so many states.
Right.
I have 6 people who told me they're coming. I've invited 10. So if you're coming and I only have grilled 6 states, now I look like a dick.
Yeah.
So are you coming? And I in my 24, 25 years up here, it's the same thing.
Wow. And I thought that was a Tucson thing.
No, you have a run for cancer. You can get your bibs early, you can do whatever. Can I show up the day of? Because I don't know what the weather's going to be like. So if the weather's too bad, they're not going to go. If the weather's too good, they may go fishing. So there's this weird little...
Wow.
And there's still plenty of people that show up.
Wow. I was impressed with yoga in the park, though. There's like 200 girls.
Oh, yeah. If there's an event where women can actually wear yoga pants for yoga, as opposed to shopping, then yes, they will do that. But yeah.
So what are we talking about again?
The actual economy. What does the economy look like under Andrew Yang? Well, welcome back to the Dave Stieren Show. 52 minutes past the hour. Dan Iyerzon is here in studio with us, volunteer, part of the Andrew Yang campaign team. And Dan, you talked about growing the economy under President Yang, as an example.
Yes, Yang Gang.
What does that economy look like? We've had when Joe Biden came out of the gate and said, I'm going to shut down fossil fuels in the first year I'm president. Like, tell me how you do that. He has no idea. He doesn't even know today's
No.
Tuesday. I mean, he really doesn't know today's Tuesday. What is, since Yang's experience as running a nonprofit is actually
Sure.
working with the corporate sector, I would imagine that includes
Yes.
petrochemical, technology, fossil fuels, transportation, all of the big bad industries that people malign. There isn't a single nonprofit in this city that frankly isn't pro-resource development because they're the benefactors, they're supporters, they're the drivers of entrepreneurship. What does the Yang economy look like?
So first of all, what I like about Yang is he's pro-business, and he says that it's not business's fault or Amazon's fault that they pay zero in taxes. I mean, the accountants come in and say, "Hey, congratulations, Jeff Bezos, we got you zero in taxes again." And Jeff Bezos says, "Good job, guys." That's their business not to pay taxes.
Right.
So it's our fault for allowing it to happen. So we have to incentivize the things that we want the most of. So the first thing that he's going to do is he's going to change the way we measure success. So right now GDP is going to bring us off a cliff if we just keep following that. And so we need to, as well as GDP, we need to make sure that life expectancy is going up, which is going down right now. That child education is increasing. There's other metrics to make sure that we're a healthy economy. So he's going to first go down to weights and measures and make sure that we have the American scorecard, so we're measuring the right things. So that's a baseline for what we need to do. Second, he's not looking to get rid of industries. Phasing out fossil fuels, sure, there is a part of that because he does want to do carbon taxes and things like that, but it's really incentivizing, a better environment, better water, things like that. So we do have to do some carbon tax and incentives that way. So that's what I believe a Yang economy is going to look like, measuring the right things and incentivizing the right things.
How does he reconcile, and I've had this conversation with everybody, there are no more oil companies, there are energy companies. Energy companies are in the business of developing energy. We've seen the government subsidize, for example, ethanol for 35 years. You take away government checks, ethanol is a freaking disaster. I would argue it's already a disaster, but the government subsidizes the hell out of it.
Right.
Part of the criticism of the Green New Deal, it was outlandishly impossible to do, and then presidential candidates embraced it. And the question to everyone who wants to smart this, a green that, or whatever, how do you get the copper, the molybdenum, the bauxite, the graphite to do this? These same groups that are anti-fossil fuels, I'm saying that Yang is, but the same individuals that are anti-fossil fuels have no tangible understanding of the mining industry. So if you want more wind turbines, you're going to need hundreds of millions of tons of minerals that this nation does not currently mine. In many respects, we're getting our minerals from countries that don't have an EPA. I had Andy Wheeler here on the show yesterday. He has this sort of idea that we have to have systems and policies in place that are evergreen. That's not going to happen. Yang's going to have a new EPA director. How do you reconcile the moving away from fossil fuels with many Democrats' opposition to domestic mining in this country?
Well, we need to...
Don't you wish Yang was here to answer that one?
Well, I'm trying to represent the Yang gang.
Aye.
So we need to double down on nuclear energy is a main thing of that. So nuclear energy is the way of the future. Specifically, thorium nuclear energy is a greener nuclear energy than we've dealt with before. Nobody's talking about thorium. It's kind of a secret, but Andrew Yang has talked about doubling down or investing in thorium, which is a great nuclear direction. And so with that, we only contribute 15% of global warming. And so we do need to develop energy for third world countries that are more, that they like better or are cleaner, that are cheaper, so that, because they're going to be the main issue of the problem.
How do you reconcile though that? Because I'm a fan of nuclear energy. I agree with you. It's cheap, it's reliable, it's inherently safe. But many of Yang's fellow party members, the base that he would need to convince to vote for him, view nuclear energy as completely off the table. It's inherently dangerous, it's dirty, it's messy. They have this weird sort of view of nuclear energy that isn't founded in reality. Does he have the resources, not to convince the American people, but to even get out of the middle tier primary with a base that doesn't support that energy path?
Well, they're wrong, so I think...
Oh, I agree with you, they're wrong.
I think...
It takes a lot of money to tell them why they're wrong, though.
I think we can convince the American people they're wrong, and the thing is, his base is growing and growing because they realize he's not just talking the party line. He's something different, and he's ready to show America.
You know what I like about him? He's not mean. He's always got a smile on his face. He's a decent chap, and you are too, Daniel.
Thank
for coming in here today to chat with us about this. If folks want to get on board with the Yang Gang and learn more, how can they do that?
Go to Yang 2020, sign up as a volunteer, get connected so we can have him in Alaska and follow.
And here in studio.
Sure.
There you go.
In studio.
We'd love to have him.
And follow me on YouTube, American Jobs Factory, creating jobs for the future that don't destroy us.
Thanks for swinging by. Folks, it's 4 o'clock. Governor Mike Dunleavy next hour. You're listening to The Dave Stieren Show. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
You can go to kfqd.com.